Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to Operation Freedom Briefings. The goal of these briefings in my weekly radio show, Operation Freedom, is to provide you information the bought-off lamestream fake media will never present. For the radio show, you can join us. It's free every Sunday from 2 to 5 Eastern. It's very simple to listen in. Great guests, great analysis, great information, and again, information the fake media will never present. To listen to the show, it airs live out of the People's Republic of Ann Arbor from Wham Talk 1600's Freedom Bunker. Go to davejanda.com from 2 to 5 Eastern. Hit the Listen Live button. That takes you to Wham Talk 1600 streaming service. Hit the play button, and you're there with us. I hope you'll be part of our Freedom family. Today's topic is time to cancel the deep state. They're intent on trying to cancel anybody and everything that's associated with the freedom movement. Well, what goes around comes around. And it's time to cancel the deep state. They have lived past, and they are well past their expiration date. Recently, on the floor of Congress, Congressman Louis Gohmert from Texas went on the floor and spoke about it being time to cancel Democrats. But not just Democrats. I believe this applies to the globalist syndicate, the New World Order crowd, the deep state, whatever you want to refer to them as. But it is time to cancel them. I want to read to you what Representative Gohmert said. He is a very insightful man who is very courageous. This information has not been presented in the bought-off lamestream fake media because it goes right at the heart of them. Let's go with what Louis said. Congressman Gohmert introduces a resolution demanding the name change for the Democrat Party in particular, which is tied to Confederacy and the Ku Klux Klan. This is from Jeffrey Lord. Many on the left and their willing accomplices in the media would tell you otherwise, yet a cursory examination of our nation's factual history and records proves the riots and chaos that have swept across our country in recent months stand as a devastating reminder of the racist policies and values held by the Democratic Party throughout much of its history. Representative Gohmert. Because of this, Representative Gohmert introduced a privileged resolution in the House calling upon Congress to acknowledge the indecritous history of the Democratic Party. He asked that the Speaker of the House be instructed to ban any political organization or political party that ever publicly supported slavery or the Confederate States of America. On June 18th of this year, 2020, Speaker Nancy Pelosi ordered the removal of portraits from the Capitol building honoring 4 previous Speakers of the House, all of whom, by the way, the bought-off lamestream fake media never noted, all of whom were in fact Democrats. As Representative Gohmert states, that was a good start on the job that she should now finish if she's going to avoid blatant hypocrisy. Efforts by Democrats to destroy all public traces of their own history of supporting slavery, the Confederacy, and segregation in an attempt to shift blame onto Republicans must no longer go unchallenged. It is time for Democrats to play by their own rules and accept the standards they have forced onto everyone else. They must divest themselves of their name that has denied so many the right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The recent actions demand nothing less. Instead of canceling our culture and history, it's time to cancel Democrats and, I believe, the globalist syndicate. Representative Gohmert goes on. He gives a bit of a history lesson then. Here's what he says. The 14th Amendment, giving full citizenship to freed slaves, passed in 1868. But what the bought-off lamestream fake media will not tell you is that when it passed in 1868, it passed with 94% of Republican support and 0% of Democrat support in Congress. The 15th Amendment, giving freed slaves the right to vote, passed in 1870 with 100% Republican support and 0% Democrat support in Congress. He went on, the 1924 Democratic National Convention Convened in New York City at Madison Square Garden, the convention is commonly known as the Klan, K-L-A-N, Bake, due to the overwhelming influence of the Ku Klux Klan in the Democratic Party. In 1964, the Democratic Party led a 75 calendar day filibuster against the 1964 Civil Rights Act. Leading the Democrats in their opposition to civil rights for African Americans was a fellow member of the Democratic Party, Senator Robert Byrd from West Virginia, a known recruiter for the Ku Klux Klan, and might I say, someone who Joe Biden described as his good friend. In fact, Joe Biden helped eulogize Robert Byrd from the Ku Klux Klan when he died. So did Obama. So did Hillary Clinton. Louis Gohmert goes on, Democrats enacted and enforced Jim Crow laws and civil codes that forced segregation and restricted freedoms of black Americans in the United States. Representative Gohmert's right. It's time to cancel not only Democrats, but the globalist syndicate that's behind these puppets. Behind Biden, Pelosi, Schumer, all of them. And the globalist syndicate that's also behind people like Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan. I want to take you to another person who actually the globalists have tried to cancel. A young man by the name of Nick Sandmann. He spoke very eloquently and articulately at the recent Republican National Convention. He was incredible. He did a surgical dissection of the totalitarian deep state syndicate, the cancel culture, the bought-off lamestream fake media. But you'll never hear, read, or see, or experience his presentation of the bought-off lamestream fake media. And what I'd like to do for you now is have you listen to what Nick Sandmann said at the Republican National Convention. This is far different from the presentations that were given at the Democrat National Convention. That was all doom and gloom, and as Joe Biden described it, that America's season of darkness. No, Joe has been hiding in his basement with the light off too long. That's why it's so dark for him. America is a brilliant shining light, still is to this day. Yeah, we have huge troubles. But it's a shining, as Ronald Reagan put, city on a hill. Nick Sandmann is just an example of that shining city on a hill. Let's play what Nick had to say.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nick Sandmann, and I'm the teenager who was defamed by the media after an encounter with a group of protesters on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial last year. Before I begin, I'd like to thank President Trump for the opportunity to share some of my story and why it matters so much to this November's election. In 2019, I attended the March for Life in Washington, D.C., where I demonstrated in defense of the unborn. Later that day, I bought a Make America Great Again hat because our president, Donald Trump, has distinguished himself as one of the most pro-life presidents in the history of our country, and I wanted to express my support for him too. Looking back now, how could I have possibly imagined that the simple act of putting on that red hat would unleash hate from the left and make myself the target of network and cable news networks nationwide? Being from Kentucky, the birthplace of Abraham Lincoln, my classmates and I visited the Lincoln Memorial. I found myself face to face with Nathan Phillips and other professional protesters looking to turn me into the latest poster child showing why Trump is bad, while the media portrayed me as an aggressor with a relentless smirk on my face. In reality, the video confirms I was standing with my hands behind my back and an awkward smile on my face that hid two thoughts. One, don't do anything that might further agitate the man banging a drum in my face. And two, I was trying to follow a family friend's advice. never to do anything to embarrass your family, your school, or your community. Before I knew what was happening, it was over. One of Mr. Phillips' fellow agitators yelled out, "We got him. It's all right here on video. And we won, Grandpa." What I thought was a strange encounter quickly developed into a major news story, complete with video footage. My life changed forever in that one moment. The full war machine of the mainstream media revved up into attack mode. They did so without researching the full video of the incident, without ever investigating Mr. Phillips' motives, or without ever asking me for my side of the story. And do you know why? Because the truth was not important. Advancing their anti-Christian, anti-conservative, anti-Donald Trump narrative was all that mattered. And if advancing their narrative ruined the reputation and future of a teenager from Covington, Kentucky, well, so be it. That would teach him not to wear a MAGA hat. I learned what was happening to me had a name. It was called being canceled, as in annulled, as in revoked, as in made void. Canceled is what's happening to people around this country who refuse to be silenced by the far left. Many are being fired, humiliated, or even threatened. And often, the media is a willing participant. But I would not be canceled. I fought back hard to expose the media for what they did to me, and I won a personal victory. While much more must be done, I look forward to the day that the media returns to providing balanced, responsible, and accountable news coverage. I know President Trump hopes for that too. And I know you'll agree with me when we say that no one in this country has been a victim of unfair media coverage more than President Donald Trump. In November, I believe this country must unite around a president who calls the media out and refuses to allow them to create a narrative instead of reporting the facts. I believe we must join a president who will challenge the media to return to objective journalism. And together, I believe we must all embrace our First Amendment rights and not hide in fear of the media or from the tech companies or from the outrage mob either. This is worth fighting for. This is worth voting for. And this is what Donald Trump stands for. Thank you all for listening to me tonight. And one more thing. Let's make America great again.
And with that, he slipped on his red MAGA hat, that same red MAGA hat that incited the deep state to try to cancel that articulate young man. And what was the deep state's response to Nick Sandmann in his speech? Well, let me give it to you.